That was for the YouTube thumbnail. So, hello, my name is Michael Meeks. I was a founding member of CSUN YDSA at the end of fall 2020, and then an alumni who helped out in the following semester after I graduated. Anyway, this video is all about what we did during that year because I have found that it's helpful. Um, because we started from nothing, it would have been helpful if we had had this talk, this video, for us to try and learn from. So play this like a podcast, have it on in the background or whatever. Um, Maybe I can get somebody to also write this down if you prefer the visual thing. But anyways, whenever whoever in the future is watching this, I wish you well in solidarity with you, my comrade. Um, I'll probably start with a few things we did for the whole sort of duration of the year. So one, we set up a Discord. Really, it was our chair of communications / political education, Leslie Aguirre, and it was super. It really, I think, brought a community. Um, it engagement obviously declined with the semester, but we got, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 people on there, and people are really. It felt like a really nice space for this sort of leftist culture and learning that obviously I don't think we had at CSUN before that. So I'm really proud of that, and obviously her efforts. We had, and I'm sorry, I don't want this to be too long because you can see in a different video stuff that we liked and disliked and stuff. But I wanted to at least give you a comprehensive list right now, so maybe I'll speed it up. We did 2 officer bonding sessions. We did one in the fall and one in the spring, or it was over winter. But I think these are crucial just because it helps build camaraderie. I like to think that if the officers are friends, they're gonna be more inclined to do work with each other on a continuous basis. So we did Instagram lives, which you can probably still check on our Instagram under the IGTV or whatever videos tab. And we styled it. We let our chair just sort of man those and ask questions to various sort of members in CSUN YDSA. And they're there. We got some good feedback from some people who were engaged. Our viewership wasn't great, but I think it's a cool thing so that we have an active presence, which we only hope to grow. We built a Google Drive infrastructure, list of folders and stuff. So you'll find that all under the calendar year 20 what would it be, 2020 to 2021. You'll be operating within the 21 22 folder, so be aware of that. And then we tried to systematize or develop a means to distribute work with each other, manage our workloads, and I don't think that worked out great. We ended up, I think, putting twice the burden at least on our whatever you want to call your central organizing committee of officers, which is just your elected officers. We ended up, I think, asking way too much of them. We were doing 2 meetings a week and whatnot. So we had a lot of work to manage in the future. Definitely put general members of CSUN YDSA who aren't officers, put powers, into them and make them members of subcommittees. And then hopefully subcommittees can be responsible for work too. You can lose stuff when you bureaucratize it like that. But it includes more people at least, and like I said, democratizes it. And the officers burnt out. So I think, yeah, we tried to come up with a way to do list work, putting all the tasks we need to do in a list format, and assigning colors that correspond to a different member of the club so that we could see who was doing what work. But it never really caught on, so but we tried, so hopefully you'll have more luck on that front. Now I will go through what we did during the fall semester, specifically, and obviously we founded ourselves out of nothing. Dwayne Johnson was the lead in that process, who got in contact with a YDSA coordinator at DSA LA, and I got involved through that, and then we recruited people to fill officer positions, and after we achieved like the 5 sort of minimum recognized members, we became university recognized, and then eligible from the Associated Students Organization to receive funding from them, and we submitted a budget too. So we'll be hearing back from that at the time of this recording in a few months or so, if not like a month in the future. It happens over summer when they decide if you get funds. So you need to jump on the process early every year. We also, obviously, we found officers or organizers, however you want to call it, and launched. We had a general interest meeting, which is sort of should be like your big hurrah, like, hey, for all those like curious, interested, it's the meeting you try to have at the beginning of the year, but we had it later because we were still organizing ourselves. But it was a super successful meeting and tons of people came, and I'm happy with it. We did like a social night, like with the general membership and everybody, where we tried to play Among Us, and before that had Zoom rooms open, like for talking. We did a socialism education night with a CSUN professor, and the night didn't totally turn out how we wanted it to. So it's a good idea though, and I think that in the future, please do nights, because people want to know what socialism is and is all about, and they feel insecure about being involved with YDSA. And plus, there's if they don't know much about socialism, and plus there's a lot of misnomers out there. And we through Leslie Aguirre, we helped start an Instagram, and we have profiles on other social media pages, but the Instagram we're starting to build like a humble presence, and I'm sure it'll grow through time, but we have a foundations in it. It is all stylistically like coherent and pretty, so appreciate that. During the winter, we decided we all, I think, sacrificed some time and perhaps well-being, only in that we decided to meet multiple times to plan, one, how the spring semester was going to go out so that we could reduce our workload, and two, to plan a winter summit, which was like a big event we wanted to do to like kick off the school semester in the spring. And we launched the summit like eventually, like I guess the week before like school would start or so, or maybe it was after, but we launched it, so that was good, and it was a big organizing effort. We had guest speakers from community orgs and whatnot, so like that was helpful. And otherwise, so we met multiple times. We tried to do work that way, but I don't know if it totally was a successful thing. It was good that we met multiple times. I would encourage this, but obviously we were new, and I don't think that we planned out the semester as much as we needed to, or we just planned the semester and it had too much work for us to do. So either way, and now I'll get to the spring. So in the spring, we decided to do so I should pivot and say during the whole year we had weekly officer meetings for sure. We had them like every Friday, so that's an accomplishment. The same thing was in the spring, but in the spring we decided to do, in addition to that meeting, we would have like the general, I don't know what you would call it, like public meeting, where we these were really geared at engaging, I don't know, the student population on campus, as opposed to like, parliamentary rule and organizational stuff that happened in the other meeting. And again, I think this was probably a mistake, only in that the officers were spending time, at least 3-4 hours a week just between the two meetings without even having to do work on the side for this club. And as the semester went on, our time really crunched. So, but nevertheless, we did it. And for the first month, set of 4 or 5 meetings, we were able to really knock out incredible presentations during these public-facing meetings. Our vice chair at the time, Izzy O'Brien, helped set a routine for us in terms of what meetings to hold on what day of the month. So if it's our first meeting or our second meeting, she planned it to be the first meeting could be, geared towards education, the second discussion, the third campaign oriented around what our big sort of activism campaign was, and our fourth would be a guest speaker. We deviated from it, but that logic made sense at the time, and it helped us at least for that first month, even though we definitely deviated. We also, sorry if this next part's a little unorganized, I'll come back to these meetings again, but we also filled 2 officer positions that were vacant because I graduated, and as did another officer. So they filled those positions after putting a Google form out and then doing a mini, I don't know what you would call it, vetting or hiring process. And I think that was good. We made it publicly open and available. Excuse me. We also became officially recognized at the national level by the YDSA organization. So now we can say that we are a real chapter of YDSA as opposed to just a YDSA club that sort of claims its affiliation with the national org, but they don't recognize it yet because you have to, obviously they need to vet you too, make sure that you are a viable group of people and that, your bylaws in your constitution aren't too wild. And we pass those marks. That means we get to send somebody to help influence decisions with YDSA National. That person is a delegate at the national convention, which is where a lot of this stuff happens. So we get to fill 1 delegate, and we have to hold elections for that still as of the time for this recording, because we can't just select it, like a awesome central communist party. We have to elect it, which is good. So we have to do that. In terms of the meetings, which I'm getting back to, as you see, we did a fantastic meeting that our chair, Dwayne Johnson, organized on Black Panther Party during Black History Month. Leslie Aguirre did a meeting about mutual aid, which he was really interested in. We had a meeting about our campaign, and Izzy O'Brien and I, for different meetings, took time to talk about it. She was also in AS, so she was working the angle as a senator in AS. And I think there's really interesting things there. There probably needs to be another video about the campaign. But I think I will get to that at the end of here. We merged our meetings, like I've been talking about 3 or 4 times already, so that we decided let's do what every other YDSA chapter does, which they do it for a reason, so that officers don't burn out, and let's have the one officer meeting be democratized, and let's just be very intentional about making sure it's an inclusive space for people, because parliamentary procedure can intimidate people. So just make sure you give plenty of opportunity for people to speak and obviously vote on things if they're eligible to vote. And this way we figured, one, it helps us democratize what we do and share the labor of what we do, so that we're not a shadowy group that is killing itself trying to do work that's overly ambitious. And I think that was successful, but we only fell into that late. We also, when we did a few meetings where we just let our homie Leslie sort of do it on Twitch, because she was sort of, trying out what it would be like to do Twitch personality and education stuff. So she did a reading on Angela Davis, Our Prison's Obsolete there, which was a pretty good live stream. And definitely follow her still. You know, we gotta support our YDSA alumni. I would be really shocked if she is no longer a socialist. And we ran elections, and I think our elections, I was disappointed by in that we did not get every position filled, and we did not have competition for seats, which is something I don't think the board agreed wanted, but I had wanted competition at least to see many ideas and just force people to force different, give people choices in terms of like what to see out of leadership. So hopefully we get to that point someday. We also developed a strategy regarding like how to do elections, and related to that, but broader, a strategy with how to do outreach in general. And the outreach strategy was good. It's common sense, and I'm not sure if I ever committed it to paper, but I do have it on my table. It's just you have to do retail politics in a sense. You have to, go door to door, classroom to classroom. We were virtual this year. That was tough, but otherwise, you have to meet people where they are. You have to table on campus. You have to speak in your classes. You have to go to other classes. You have to, time and energy is limited, but you need to do those things. And we really tapped all of our, I think, bandwidth early on. Plus, we had graduating seniors who obviously were focused on graduating amongst other things as the year went on. So I think we couldn't execute this strategy ever, but it's a good strategy. Obviously it has a social media component, but I think it has to really really be about meeting people and speaking to people and whatnot. But that's only the short of it. And I think that is all in terms of like concretely what we did. I think I will try and do another video that was just about what our campaign was this last year. So I guess I'll get back to you on that, and I may edit this last part out. Anyway, thank you. I hope this was informative. Please, I hope you're taking notes. If not, I'll be here forever, right? So I guess you're okay. But hang in there, comrade. Our future is coming. In the meantime, take care.